Yes, sir.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Jen, would you take roll, please?
Commissioner Corbin?
Here.
Commissioner Thel?
Here.
Commissioner Waldner?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson? Mayor Lindsay?
Here. You have before you the agenda for this evening.
Make a motion, we adopt agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Appearances, acknowledgements. Eric Hortness is here as the Executive Director for the Greater Madison Area Chamber of Commerce to give us an update on the Chamber. Very good. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
This is kind of talking with Jen. We're going to try and do this quarterly, keep it going quarterly. Just a few things that we've had happen in the last couple of months, kind of smaller things that maybe not everybody knows about, but the Historical Society, if you recall back in the summer of 2017, the state had some consultants come in and survey the downtown area, and they came back with a report, and then the State Historical Society office came and kind of gave us a little bit more detailed report, and the mayor was in on that meeting, and they came back that there's 7 buildings in the downtown area that could possibly qualify to be put on the state historical register. So now it's just a matter of getting that information out to the building owners and progressing from there.
What's the benefit of doing that?
There's some grants that they can apply for. There's a tax break that they can apply for if they're going to be upgrading any of their buildings. They can get a tax break for, I believe it's 5 years. So there are good benefits to it. One of the misnomers out there is if they're on the register, then they can't do anything to the building. But that's not it at all. It's to help preserve them and update them if they need to be updated. So, early October, the Southeast South Dakota Tourism annual meeting was here in Madison. We had about 50 or 60 people out at Camp Lacodia. And I sit on that advisory board, so had a little bit of a pull of getting the annual meeting here. So 50 or 60 people here in Camp Lacodia, and I know a lot of them came downtown after the meeting. Also, another thing that about the middle of October, we had a bus tour from Mitchell that stopped downtown for a couple hours, and they did quite a bit of shopping before they headed over to Flandreau to the casino. That was the casino was their main stop, but they made a special stop for us. So, a few things that we have coming up, kind of a crazy 8 days of activities we have coming up here. Black Friday, Small Business Saturday is this weekend, and we'll have registration boxes up in a lot of the retailers, and people can register for gift cards. Also on Saturday is our big show and sell craft fair, and I believe we're up to 117 vendors for Saturday, and that's at the Playhouse and Field House from 9 to 2 on Saturday. Then we move into the next week. We're doing our Mad Money holiday promotion again, starting on Monday. If you come in and get $100 worth of Mad Money gift cards, you get $15 free, and we cap that at $10,000. So I believe last year they were done by Wednesday, so 2 to 2.5 days, and that $10,000 goes pretty quick. Another update on Mad Money, we're looking like we're going to be over the $80,000 mark at the end of the year for dollars spent on Mad Money. Not purchased, but actually $80,000 used in the community, which is going back 6-7 years. That's by far the most that we've ever had used on that side of things. More events. Madison's Magical Christmas, December 1st, which is our Day with Santa at the Armory, our free movie at the Armory in the afternoon. Then late afternoon is sleigh rides that'll start and stop at the Armory. And then the day will end with the lighting of the community Christmas tree, which if you saw in the paper this afternoon, that got transported to Dairy Queen this morning, and it is ready to be decorated. So,
It is also on the City of Madison Public Utilities website
correct.
and Facebook
Yep.
pages. So,
Any questions from any of the commissioners or the mayor on anything we have coming up or anything that has come up to you guys the last few months?
no, very good. Very good on the promotions we've had in the past, and excited to see the ones that are coming up.
You bet.
You know, every little bit helps the City of Madison, and you know, showcases Madison every time somebody new comes into town.
Sure.
Thanks for
Okay.
coming down for
You
the
bet.
update.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it, Eric.
All right. Is there anything anyone would like removed from the consent calendar? Not, do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under old business, number 1, 5:30 hearing upon the application for the sale of alcoholic beverages, the transfer of the retail on-off sale wine license, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant Incorporated, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant, to El Pino LLC, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant. And so I see Ernesto here, and that, did you want to say anything about that? Okay. Is there anyone else that does? If not, then I'm going to move right down to under new business and approve the application for sale of alcoholic beverages, transfer of retail on-off sale wine license, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant Incorporated, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant, to El Pino LLC, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant. And before we go any further, I'm going to ask Jen, do you have anything you want to add to this?
I do not. 2 weeks ago, you acknowledged this. It was published as necessary. This is, you will remember that Ernesto was with us several weeks ago. That was for the retail malt beverage beer license. Now he has decided he would also like this wine license. Okay, so we're back through the process. This will be good through the end of the year. He will be part of the renewal process that you'll see again in the next couple weeks.
And then I'm going to ask Mike, is there anything you have to add?
Nope, nothing from the public safety arena, so
Very good.
you know all the rules and laws of it, so we appreciate you following them, that's it. So it's been
With
fine
that,
so far.
With that, we're open to a motion unless there's other questions.
I'll make a motion that we, approve the transfer of retail on-off sale wine license, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant Incorporated, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant, to El Pino LLC, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
We'll get
Thank
it
you.
sent in tomorrow with a quick turnaround time for you, okay? We'll be in touch.
All right.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And now-
Thank you.
See
Thank
later.
you. Now I'm going to move back up to number 2 under old business. Second reading of ordinance number 1604, water rates and charges. Jen or Gary, do either one of you, or Brad, one of you want to make a comment? This is the second reading. We talked about it 2 weeks ago.
We did. Corbin and I talked
Corbin?
today. I've had no feedback. He's had no feedback.
No feedback here. Nothing's changed from what was introduced 2 weeks ago, as far as I know.
Absolutely not.
All right. If there's no other questions or comments, do we have a motion?
Is this a motion to approve or?
Approved.
Motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 1604,
Yes.
water rates and charges.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 3, second reading, ordinance number 1605, wastewater user charges. Again, is there anyone that has any comments? Brad, Jeremiah, Jen?
Same is true here.
Same. Okay, second reading of what we read 2 weeks ago. So,
Do note, though, please, these changes will be effective with bills mailed out in December that will be payable by customers in January.
okay.
Make a motion to approve second reading of ordinance number 1605, wastewater user charges.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under new business, number 2, authorize the use of the community center future maintenance reserve front entrance repairs. And I'm going to ask Aaron if he would like to address this one.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Community Center, we hired Amert Construction end of August to do repair some sidewalk platforms at the bottom of each of our steps when coming up into the facility. Total cost of the repairs was $8,760, and board considered 2 different options to pay for this. We've got our cash balance that we considered using, and also we got reserves, which are made up from previous years, kind of surpluses. And board approved this project to be spent out of our reserves. We did just consider just paying it out of cash, but we have spent a good bundle of money of our cash this year than what we have in previous years. So just kind of an FYI, when you see the cash analysis statement that our auditors do end of March, like I said, we've actually, and the board's well aware that we spent down our cash for quite a few projects. We did a pool project in August that was previously unbudgeted. We decided to do this project when DSU secured a grant for us for lighting. We paid for a washing machine that was unbudgeted, and we also did quite a few other repairs. And we also bought $40,000 worth of cardio equipment just to enhance our kind of our wellness room area. So over the past 15 years, we built up our cash reserve about $15,000 per year. And we just kind of felt that we were going to start reinvesting that back into the facility, so we started doing that. So we did have that option just to pay this out of cash, but board just felt that for this expense, it was best to just pay it out of the reserve. That's already established, set up and established.
Now, this is this, correct me if I'm wrong here, is this the same one in that we have to reimburse back?
Nope, this
This
is
isn't, okay.
specifically
So this is
coded
the-
to community center. So this is 605 funds, it's part
Okay.
of their cash and cash equivalents.
Okay.
And we are going to use the future maintenance reserve. If you look at your monthly
Okay.
reserve sheet, there are 2 different reserves. There's a capital outlay and then a future maintenance. Aaron and I visited and thought future maintenance was most appropriate. There is a $28,662 balance in that. So tapping it for $8,700 is still gives you quite a future maintenance.
Would-
Maybe I misunderstood you, Aaron. Is this past things in the past been good judgment, judicious purchasing? We've had savings in this account? I mean, have we saved money in this account in the past that was supposed to go for other things, or is it just maintenance reserve period?
This specific future maintenance was set aside. We believe, I didn't backtrack it all the way, but it was dollars left from building of the center. Go
Correct.
ahead.
I believe, because we used this reserve when we did the parking lot project with DSU probably about 5 years ago. And at that point, I think it was backtracked to where some reserve money left over when the building was built that was still sitting there in this reserve account to use.
So we haven't tapped it since that parking lot project several years ago. And right or wrong, this is just a Jen thing. Whenever there's any kind of reserves utilized that aren't budgeted for, I make the department head appear so that you bless it and you know where it's coming from.
And if it was just good judgment on purchases in the past, or you got good bids and those kind of things, and so as a result of money left over, that's great. Or if it's just a regular amount that we put in there for maintenance, I'm good with either one. I just was trying to have some clarity to that.
Yeah,
Oh, sure.
Kind of watching the reserves a little closer these days, I think, to make sure we're spending them, that they, not that they've been spent inappropriately, but just making sure we're not exceeding levels or not spending money that we said we were going to spend in the past. So this commission, or commissions in the past too. So looks good to me.
You know, and that's, you bring up a great point, and eventually, I mean, this reserve amount obviously will be down to 0, and then the community center will have to figure out whether they want to continue to, I mean, just like us, we have to keep continually rebuilding our reserves, and it gets very confusing, Commissioner Johnson, just in the fact that it's community center money, which is DSU and city and membership fees. That's all kind of intertwined, and so that it really gets to be kind of sketchy on just keeping track of all of it. And you know, obviously then, and we put in 100 and some
60%.
thousand, yeah, 60%, 110
DSU 40%.
or 15.
1065, I wanna say, does that sound
106.
Something like
Yeah.
I mean, so cash infusion every year that we give to it, so, but it's all part of it, but, I mean, it's good I think this is appropriate place to take this money from, and certainly the board agreed, so.
And the board approved. You have that documentation too, that the community center governing board did approve of this too.
Well, and the other thing too, and that having been in and out of there and saw the repairs that were needed, and that this also may have saved us from a liability from an
Well,
injury.
yeah,
No
definitely.
question there.
Yeah, no
You know.
question, this was something that absolutely had to be done.
Yeah, because somebody would have tripped and fallen, you know, and that could have been a whole different amount we'd be looking at and different source, so.
Seems like a worthy project for that reserve money.
Yeah.
We don't just build those reserves to stare at the money. It's nice to see them be put to use.
Yep. I'll make a motion, we authorize use of community center future maintenance reserve front entrance repairs.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Do we need an amount on that, specific amount?
Yes, please. Thank you. Would you make the $8,760 part of your motion?
For $8,760.
Yes. Thank you, Johnson.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Bid number 878, set a bid date, operational services, Madison Recycling Center. Gary, would you like to speak to this one?
About every 2 years, we get together with Valiant Living. They do our sorting at the recycling center. They do all the bags come in, they sort all the recyclables in different bins for us, and then we bale it. And in the process, with their negotiations, we found that we need to probably bid this to be legal. So that's where we're at with it. For many, many years, it was under that $50,000 range.
As the years have gone along, and that we were under that, and so it wasn't such an issue. But with inflation and everything else going on, and that we have encroached on where the bid limit is, and so it is best in that we advertise for bids to see if there's anyone else out there that would want to bid on it as well. And then when the bids are received, we'll make our judgments then.
So tonight you have in front of you, as part of the packet, simply the advertisement for bids, which is very standard. There is, when we post this tomorrow online, there is also an operational services contract specification sheet that is 2 pages long that just talks about everything from insurance requirements, that there's no subcontractor, training that Gary and his staff will provide. It just details the specifics of this contract. And this operational services contract will actually become the binding contract that we are asking for a 2-year agreement on. So when they bid this, they are bidding a 2-year agreement at a flat monthly rate. We also are implementing a proposal form, so to make it easier on the entities who want to do this, they simply fill out this form. Again, it'll be posted. Gary's got it within his department, and it should be a very less cumbersome process for anybody interested in doing this. This is a new procedure, so all of these new documents are all new to my office, new to the staff. They have gone through Attorney Jenks. He blessed everything, and I'm very comfortable in this whole process and the direction we're going here.
Other questions or comments?
Johnson?
So we're trying to contain some costs, not just as part of this, but with the whole recycling effort. As most of you know, prices have not been what they've been in the past. We're doing what we can, so this is just part of the effort, not just because it was at a level that we needed to bid, but also to take a look, give us some things to go on to look and see where we're going to go with recycling for ourselves in the future. That whole complexion is changing significantly. We probably should do it as an agenda item, something just to inform ourselves and the public about that. prices are just not what they used to be. There's a couple, 2 or 3 different factors towards that, and find our way in that. But this is a good thing.
Recycling hearing,
Yeah, maybe hearing or informational session.
sounds exciting.
It is. We'll be,
And one of the things in that, we want the public to understand is, the better job that they can do of recycling, that gives more quantity to our recycling center, which we can then sell and generate income. If you put it in the garbage, we have to pay for it to put it in the landfill. So sending recyclables to the landfill basically costs us in the long run more than it should have, and it reduces what we get paid back for the materials we sell. So we really need to encourage our citizens to take a look at your recyclables and set them off to the side and send them to our recycling center or drop them off at the recycling center. So,
and there are some folks out there that are great recyclers. They really are.
They are,
Either
yes.
by setting them out for pickup or bringing them in on themselves. I would compliment them and just encourage others who aren't doing quite so good a job maybe to become recyclers themselves and help us out with some of the things the mayor talked about.
This is just sorting the recyclables
Yes,
out,
yeah.
Yes.
Will,
and the city will,
We still bail it.
you guys will still bail it.
yeah, the city employees still run the heavy-duty equipment and do the baling and that, This is spelled out in there, I think, quite well, in that, what this is being aimed at, providing,
The contract does detail a scope of services that came from the Public Works Department and exactly what it is that they need to see from this group.
And this is something in that we've been working on for quite a while. Mr. Johnson and Gary and his staff have put a lot of time and effort into this, and so I really commend them. Other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve bid number 878, set a bid date of, what was that date?
November
Dec-
5th, or December
December
5th.
5th.
December 5th, excuse me.
2 o'clock.
Fifth day of December 2018 at 2 p.m. for operational services, Madison Recycling Center.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, please.
Thanks, Gary. Okay. Marshall, if you would come forward, please. I see you have a SRO and 5G questions.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
When the SRO for the high school began, it was shared between the city, the school, and the county. Is the county still in it, or are we sharing that?
Mike or Jen?
Do you know?
I'm just going to ask a question. With this being public comment, can I answer these questions, or?
I would say yes, it's public information because the contracts are public information.
Okay, so, no, they are not.
So what did, I know we
No,
were,
as in both of them? The county and the school?
The school is.
the school, so it's,
School and city on this.
okay. So did the percentage change for our cost?
We have an agreement now with the high school, and it is not at this level yet, but it's working towards a 60-40% agreement between the high school and the city. Now, we've also, in that agreement, should the county come in to the agreement and want to contribute, then their funds will go directly to the school and help the school pay for the SRO position.
So I take it the school is 60 and the
Correct.
city is 40, just like DSU. I think DSU is the same way.
Yes.
Okay, okay. And then on the 5G, that was a couple weeks ago, we were talking about some poles or something going up, towers.
What that says is that if they bring 5G to the city of Madison,
Okay.
they will be able to place them in the city right-of-way. And that, and at this point in time, we have that out there as an agreement, but to my knowledge on that, Brad, no one has come to town yet to ascertain where they'd like to put a tower or where they, are going to put a tower.
So it would be just one tower?
No.
Or?
No.
The agreement that's on the table is it's a
Open-ended.
overarching agreement that takes care of the cost for those specific poles, or I'll call them cell sites, small cells, because it may not be a pole. It may be on the side of a building. It may be some other fashion, okay? And all of that will be worked out later, basically with the utility commissioner and the utility director. But what happens then is we have these multiple poles, and it's important to understand that to begin with, these are what's called small cells, in which, again, anybody who has a connected device or a cell phone will benefit from this, because initially we'll have 4G additional capacity until the 5G standards are solidified, and then they actually bring 5G into the community. So initially, it'll be additional capacity. As far as the number of poles, could be anywhere from 7 to 15 to 25.
But you don't know what they're going to look like.
No.
I mean-
we have a really good idea because we've seen them in other places.
Mhm.
We know what they look like in Sioux Falls, Buffalo Chip, Brookings, and I've seen them across the nation. And just do a Google search on small cells, and you'll
Okay.
see what they look like. Now, having said that, we can also work with buying new poles, and that's actually part of it with this particular carrier, that they'll buy a new pole that fits in our standards, fits in our aesthetics. Brad's all over this already, and it'll still accommodate all of the equipment that's necessary.
Okay.
And what the basic difference is in the poles, and Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, is the poles may be similar in size and looks, but they're thicker, so they're stronger. Because the more weight you put up there in terms of gravitational weight and wind resistance weight, you need a pole that will withstand, the South Dakota weather. And so the poles themselves don't necessarily look that much different, but the thickness of the pole does make a difference in its ability to carry the extra weight.
And the people that will bring the 5G in or want to bring it in, they pay for the new pole?
Typically, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so your first step is getting some kind of an agreement in that so that they can come into your city. And that's basically what we have.
Okay.
We have an agreement that they can come into our city. And then the question is once they get here, then they'll work it out with the utilities as to where they're going to be located, what they're going to be mounted on, and so forth.
So it may not be more poles, it may just upgrade the poles we have.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. It could be a combination of that.
Yes.
And one of the biggest things, Marshall, that I really tried to do is we don't need to burden the commission every time a new cell is put up. And like I said, it could be 15, could be 25 of them. You could have 2-3 different providers doing it. And we didn't want that to have to come back to the commission with every single pole. And so we've put that, again, the aesthetics of the pole, the size, the shape, placement, all of that on the utility commissioner and the utility director to kind of take care of that. We've already taken care of the agreement with that particular carrier, and now let's get down to work and work all the things out.
I didn't know if it was a pole that just going to stick out
They're not
somewhere.
going to be looking ugly.
Okay,
They
that's,
certainly
I guess
don't.
that's,
And when the visitors were here from Verizon from Minneapolis, they identified 9 locations that, would come pretty close to blanketing everybody in the city limits.
Okay.
Fran?
So I just want to mention that what we passed was a master license agreement, MLA, and that allows, like as has been said, then what happens is each individual poll site is a separate sub-agreement to that master agreement. So we'll have to have an agreement on each site. So we'll have say in how it looks, where it's going to be
Okay.
placed and all that
That's-
stuff. So we still maintain the local control that we thought was very important in this process, but we allow them to place those in our right-of-way under the master license agreement,
Okay.
on that sub-agreement. So-
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you for asking, because I see they're writing diligently over here, so hopefully that information gets out to the public and
Okay.
clarifies it a little bit. Thank you, Marshall.
Bet.
Okay. Saying no announcements, do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we are in executive session.